I got this lovely chest off some woman on Facebook for free, and I'm going to try and give it a bit of life again. At first glance, it does look alright. It's got a bit of rust around the hinges and the handles. It had varnish all over, I had to get all that off. Started by WD-40ing all the screws because they were very difficult to remove. Didn't really make much of a difference, but we did it anyway because it was recommended to us. I wasn't even looking at the camera at this point, so this was such an epic fail. Or did they even add it to the video? So I did go around with the WD-40, even though it was a colossal waste of time. I'm trying to remove the screws after the WD-40, and it just was not happening for me. I think the flathead screwdriver I was using was too big. I ended up getting out a little power screwdriver. You'll see me walking off in a huff, swearing under my breath. You can't hear that, thankfully, because I do have a bit of potty mouth. I walked off to get my little £12 power screwdriver. This screw wasn't budging for anything. Got it out in the end though. This one come out like a dream, which I was really grateful for, because it really got to me at this point. I soaked all the hardware in boiling water and vinegar. I was told that was a good idea. Didn't really do much either. Ended up doing a bit of sanding and painting. I am learning as I go along, as this is a new hobby for me. I clean the whole piece with sugar soap because that's meant to be a good degreaser and gets all the dirt and grime out of it. You don't want any of that when you're painting and staining and God knows what not. After I give it a good clean, I sanded all the outside and all the inserts and all the inside actually, because it all needed it. I ended up using my dad's sander because it's got a pointed edge so I can get into the corner. My orbital sander wasn't going to get there. You can slightly hear my other half singing in the background there. Let's just ignore that. He is also my trusty little cameraman, so I just call him, take a video. It's really good to have someone that's very supportive of your hobbies and things that keep your mental health good. So, shout out to him. As you can see, I got it all down to a nice wood. Looked really good. Still had quite a lot to do on this. This took me 3 days in total. I had to fill in a crack that was on the top. I did try to push it together and glue it, but it just wasn't happening. I tried out the stain on one of the inserts to see what it looked like, to see if I even liked it. For a start, you need to get even brush strokes here. I want to make sure there's no drips and whatnot. Say cheese. There's me before. And after, on day one, I was very dusty. I frog taped around all the top so I could give it a paint wash. I tried it with a light sage green colour and water. I didn't like that, so I tried it with a white paint wash. I didn't like that either because it just made it look dusty and it just wasn't the vibe I was going for. So then I moved on to try it with grey and water, a grey paint wash with water. I just mixed a bit of black and white together because there was no way I was going out to get grey paint. In just a sec you'll see me wipe it off and I'll give you a 360 of what it looks like. I was trying so hard to get this on really quickly because I didn't want it to dry and I couldn't get it off. That would have been a bit of a pain. So I was kind of rushing here because I've never done this before. It's the first time I've ever paint washed anything in my life. Again, got my trusty cameraman on the job. This is what it looked like. The end result does look good. So just, trust the process. If you're watching this and you're thinking, what on earth are you doing? Because at this point I was thinking the exact same. But trust the process, it does look good. You can, again, hear my other half in the background because it's been extremely loud downstairs. I'm going to go down and knock him out in a minute. As it was upside down already, I decided to move on and stay in the bottom, leaving a lot of the marks and whatnot that were on the bottom because I wanted to keep it as a very rustic, vintagey sort of look. This piece is from the early 1900s, so I wanted to keep it that way. Here's a full 360 of the grey. It does look better at the end. Trust the process. I stay on the top. Here's a preview of what it sort of would look like before I even done the inside. Then I stained all the inside the same colour as the top and the bottom. Because I wanted to keep it the same sort of vibes all round. The stain I am using, I think it's called Modern Oak, which I thought was quite a good fit for what it is. That's the inside stained. After sanding down and removing as much rust as I could off the hardware, I spray painted it black, and never spray painted before either, so don't come for me. It all does really come together at the end. You'll see the final photos at the end of this video. Not going to make anybody wait around. I put the hardware back on and I used gold screws this time because I thought it just made it look quite cute, if I'm being honest. And they're the only screws I had, so you know, you work with what you got. I'm not entirely sure why I videoed myself putting screws in for so long. And by this point, the little battery screwdriver was running out of battery. So that part wasn't fun. I ended up having to do some by hand, which you don't see in a video because I didn't video that. I ended up putting the hinges on the chest first rather than putting them on the lid first, which made no sense to me after I'd already done it. So I took them off and put them on the lid and then put them on the chest because, you know, live and learn. So here's an overview of what it looked like. That top part was still needed to dry, so you'll see good pictures at the end. I didn't fix up a lot of the stuff because I wanted it to look old, rustic, and, you know, it's got like this sort of like farmhouse vibe. But here's some pictures. That's what it looks like. If you stayed and watched through the whole video, thank you for watching. Please follow along and see what I do next. Yeah? Bye, guys.